If you've watched the Minnesota Timberwolves this season, you'd know that a game against the Pelicans without Zion Williamson is far from a walk in the park. They've proved they can compete with any team in the league, but they've also proven time and time again that they can lose to any team on any given night. So it's actually noteworthy when this team destroys the Pelicans like they did last night, and it's noteworthy that they can formulate and execute an offensive plan against these bottom feeder teams, because they've failed to do so on so many occasions so far this season. And to me, the plan they executed in this win was the one that works best for this team. And of course, it always starts with punishing the way that teams defend Anthony Edwards. He's the engine that moves this offense along, and he's who needs to create the offensive flow for this team. So when this game begins and the Pelicans are sending two up at him and blitzing with a second defender coming up at the ball, can he make the quick read to the open roll man? That forces the corner defender to rotate off Naz Reid, then DiVincenzo's man to shift into a helper position, defending these two shooters, and eventually Reid is going to be able to attack a closeout and get into the paint to score. We've seen Edwards sleepwalk through these easier games as a scorer a ton over his career, but it's just as important that he's on point as a playmaker when defenses try to shut him down with super aggressive coverages. That's what fosters ball movement from the team and kickstarts them in games they should be dominating. Again, as soon as they send the second defender up at him, he gets off the ball quickly. Now this defender is stuck in no man's land between the corner shooter and the roll man, and when he shades toward the shooter, they can whip that pass into Gobert for the dunk. Ant is the catalyst for that. And while the defense is showing those blitzes, he needs to be able to be the catalyst for smart and fast ball movement. And that requires him to make the correct read as a floor general. This time, he's coming off a side pick and roll, and if he can beat the big and engage DiVincenzo's man here as a helper, that's going to force this weak side helper to cover two shooters at once, and it's going to generate open looks on that side of the floor. And even if the shots aren't falling, this is really good offense, and when a team is playing really good offense through their star player, teams are going to adjust and defenses are going to cycle through their coverages, and that's how eventually you wear down these bad teams who don't have the energy or the willpower to consistently defend great offense. But for this Timberwolves team, they need to be able to cycle into different things themselves when that defense does adjust or when Edwards isn't on the ball, because that's what keeps this offense ticking without it being completely centered around Edwards' inconsistent playmaking. And in a game like this, where it really worked, that's when they get into movement-based offense and set plays to get them going offensively. They might run this inverted pin down with Mike Conley setting the screen and Naz Reid flying up off it. That flows straight into a handoff, Reid pops out, and they've got the defense into rotation for a Jalen Clark spot up three on the wing. That's not necessarily a set play, but it's an early action to bend the defense. Like here you see Conley coming off these dual pin downs, and again, they're trying to bend these defenders toward the action so that when Alexander Walker catches the ball, he's got that driving lane opened up for him already, and it's a simple straight line drive for a bucket. Edwards is there to force a defense into overhelping on the ball, but when he isn't there, it's gotta be smart basketball. Like getting into this weave action, they're forcing the bulk of the defense to tilt toward one side of the floor, and then they're attacking a Conley-Gobert empty side pick and roll, and it's that same goal, to get this defender on an island on the weak side, and forcing one rotation to the corner, which flows into another rotation to the wing, and eventually they find a good look from deep through Naz Reid. So they're two very different ways to create good ball movement offense, but the desired result is the same. Force the defense from side to side, overload on one side of the floor, and then make them rotate in ways that they can't handle. That's how Minnesota beats these bad teams. When they don't do those things, we've seen how they can quickly grind to a halt offensively. And when they need to dip into another scoring bag, they need to go into some actual scripted play calls. Here they run this flex kind of action where Conley curls up off a Gobert screen as one option and DiVincenzo sprints to the corner off a screen as another option. They go to Conley here, that corner is now empty, which allows Gobert to roll into space and get behind the defense for a lob dunk finish. Now you've got this offense firing on all three cylinders. And because Jaden McDaniels' offense is now a thing as well, they can involve him too. They run their horns out for Edwards to go to the wing, but now they've got McDaniels crossing over with him as well, and that allows them to get to McDaniels coming off a ball screen and into that mid-range area where he's so deadly. And then they can adjust that action to whoever is on the floor. This time it's DiVincenzo running off that horns out cut, but with no McDaniels out there to flow into, the next link in the chain is Clark setting a pin down for Reed, the defense overcommits, Clark pops to the corner, and again that's perfect ball movement coming off a well-schemed action. So if Minnesota want to not just beat these teams that they really need to beat, but also imprint an offensive game plan that makes sense against any team, those are the three pillars of their system. It starts with Anthony Edwards punishing aggressive defenses, but it evolves into movement offense when Ant isn't involved, and then they have their offensive actions to go to when they need it. If they can actually be consistent in executing those three things, this team can beat anyone. If you enjoyed this breakdown, you can become a Howls and Growls member to help grow the channel. Check out the pinned comment below for more info, and thanks again for watching Howls and Growls.